I woke up at night for a drink of water. I came back from the kitchen, and instead of my wife, a creepy old woman was sitting in the room. Your family.
The supernatural can take many forms, but usually we are used to being told about the incredible scary creatures, ghosts, or strange mystical events. But what to do when the spooky and unbelievable appears in the family, and takes such bizarre forms that it is completely impossible to explain the phenomena, even from a mystical standpoint? Our next narrator told just such a strange, scary, and unbelievable story, which is hard to believe.
I would like to say right away that we have a quite normal, healthy family. We do not deal with occult sciences of any kind. We don't watch any books or movies about it. I work in construction, and my wife is a Russian teacher. There are 3-year-old kids. By the way, fortunately for us, on that terrible day, they slept over at my mother-in-law's house. So, as you can see, there was nothing so unusual about our family. Until that creepy night. The evening went on as usual. As I remember now, it was Saturday, so we decided to have a little rest. We took the children to my mother-in-law's. You know how much trouble you can get in a week with them. And we had a romantic dinner. We went to bed around midnight, and around 1 a.m. I decided to go to the kitchen for a drink of water. That's when my life was turned upside down. From the kitchen I came back into the room and saw my wife rocking on the rocking chair, which seemed strange to me. Because when I left she was asleep. I didn't turn on the light. The room was almost completely dark, and here a barely visible white silhouette sits by the window swaying slightly. And the rocker made quiet, creaking noises as it swayed from side to side. And there were no transitions from surprise to fear. I was scared as soon as I entered the room. It was as if a toggle switch had flipped from calm to panic. I knew that the creepy was happening right now. I don't know how, but I realized almost immediately that I was mistaken. That it was not my wife in the rocking chair, but an ugly old woman with long loose hair. I was not even surprised when it was confirmed. The chair swayed more and more, and then, for a brief moment, it caught the thin streak of light that was coming in from behind the curtains. The old woman turned her head toward me, looking at me with her dark eyes, and was silent. Her hair was long and disheveled, and for some reason it seems to me that she has huge long fingernails on her fingers, clutching at the armrests of the chair. But most importantly, the sound of the rocking chair. In the ringing silence, it was maddening. This monotonous creaking frightened me with its eerie inevitability, fatalism. And so I stood looking at the old woman. She looked at me, and the creaking of the chair grew louder and louder. It makes my ears pop up. Finally, I managed to open my lips, numb with fear. "Who are you?" I asked, and in reply I heard a disgusting laugh, which made my blood run cold. "Who?" "Your family." And the voice is just as creepy. I stand there at a loss. I have a million thoughts in my head. Who do I call? My mother-in-law, the police, witches? I understand that something so supernatural is happening in my room now, that it is time to make a movie. But I myself is not to the joy of such. Another question, where my wife has gone. Why didn't you turn on the light? Again I felt that if I turned on the light bulb in the fragile magic, or witchcraft, or whatever you want to call it, would freeze in the form that it is now. And I would see in the bright electric light not my wife in a rocking chair, but that ugly old woman who had no idea how she had got into the house. At that moment a single idea occurred to me, and I decided to execute it. Here's what I said to the old woman in a stern voice. "Now I'm going to the kitchen for a drink of water, and when I come back, I don't want your ghost to be here. And give me my wife back." I turn around and leave the room, so as not to hear the old woman's disgusting laughter sounding in my back. I knew I was making nonsense, but I decided to do as I said. Maybe that's the rules of these games. I went to the kitchen and poured water. I drank it, but my hands were shaking like crazy. Then on cotton legs I went into the room. I looked carefully inside, sitting someone in a rocking chair. But my heart is already relieved. Because even in this darkness my wife I recognize. Immediately I turned on the light and rushed to my wife. It turned out that she was asleep and could not confirm anything of what I told her, including where she had disappeared to. And the old woman disappeared from the apartment, as if she hadn't even existed. Even the evidence of his presence is not left. So my family did not believe me when I told them about the night event. Only my mother-in-law took it seriously. Ribbon some kind of bewitching brought me soon, told me to wear on the hand and not take off a month. I suspect that she knows more about this story, but she keeps silent and does not share it.
Subscribe to the channel. There will be many more interesting things.